Today, for our Waypoint moment, we wanted to take some time to talk about something that was placed on our hearts and very important for us to address. According to the World Health Organization, 1 in 4 people in the world will be affected by mental or neurological disorders at some point in their lives. Around 450 million people currently suffer from such conditions. Today we wanted to talk about mental health stigmas in the church. But before we start, we wanted to mention a disclaimer. This is based on what we know and have experienced. We are not experts, and this Waypoint moment isn't meant to offend anyone. We want this video to be a good reminder and educate others about this topic.
So a stigma is not something that an individual chooses, rather it's a label that is given. In other words, it's a negative stereotype. As a church body, we must be committed to reaching out to those who may feel abandoned or dismissed by the false beliefs we've contributed to.
The first stigma is that a mental health condition means you're crazy. And this is not the case. People have gotten better about discussing mental health issues. However, there are still stigmas about mental health, such as saying that therapy is only for people with really bad issues, or that those who go to therapy are crazy. I remember that as a kid, I was anxious and I didn't know why. I remember seeing a therapist when I was in 8th grade and not telling any of my friends about it. I was afraid that my friends would think I was weird and different. When I had to leave school early, I told them I had an appointment with a doctor, not the mental health part. I felt ashamed and obligated to keep my therapy appointments a secret from everyone. Only my family and those I was very close with knew. However, we could all benefit from going to therapy, regardless of whether we struggle with mental health issues. Life can be challenging, and it is always good to talk to others about it. Overall, seeking additional help is never a bad thing and shouldn't be labeled or seen as such. This idea ties in and leads us to the second stigma, that a mental health condition is a sign of weakness.
Getting help for a mental health condition in some individuals' eyes is seen as weakness or a personal flaw. Instead of being recognized for a legitimate clinical condition, mental health conditions might be viewed as a personal flaw, weakness, as I said earlier, or a lack of self-discipline or willpower. A mental health condition is no different than a physical one. Our brains are the most important organs in our bodies and can get sick, just like our heart, our lungs, and our liver. Not only that, but you can recover from a mental health condition and still lead a perfectly healthy life. Furthermore, Christians are not immune from mental health conditions. Just because we love God and try our best to follow His Word does not mean that we cannot struggle with mental health conditions.
The third stigma is that you can pray away a mental health condition. Many have said that those who have a mental health condition aren't praying enough, and that if they were, the mental health condition would go away. The thing about our body is that God created them in such a complex way, and sometimes we can feel anxious or depressed, and it is out of our control. Often we may not know why we feel anxious or stressed due to our body's physical part, not necessarily the spiritual part.
Therefore, people believe that all we need to do is pray about it and give it to God. But you wouldn't tell someone with cancer, diabetes, or a heart problem to pray about it and give it to God, would you? Hopefully you'd say, you need to see a doctor. Now don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong about praying for our mental health condition, but God tells us in Philippians 4:6, do not worry about anything, but pray and ask God for everything you need. And when you pray, always give thanks. However, we still need to be proactive. We can't pray away a mental health condition. We need to get help. I am living proof of that. I want to say this as someone who has experienced mental health conditions, specifically with anxiety and depression. I've struggled with anxiety since I was little, specifically social anxiety, even though I was considered to be a fairly social person. I believe that it could be prayed away, but however, this only got me so far. Often, I would feel like I lacked faith and that I wasn't a good disciple because I couldn't shake my anxiety. This disappointment in myself went on for years, but I felt like I could not tell anyone because I did not want to be judged or looked down upon. In 2018, something really big happened in my life, which resulted in me feeling hurt and vulnerable. This event was the breaking point that pushed me over the edge to fall into depression. My parents prompted me to seek help through therapy. I did not want to go, but this was something that I needed. I learned so many things about myself and how important it is to really take care of your mental health. After receiving therapy, I'm living proof that you can still have mental health conditions and thrive as a disciple.
We want to address the final stigma that you're a disappointment to the church and a bad Christian if you struggle with a mental health condition. Even mature Christians, including many contemporary faith leaders and the prophets, apostles, and Jesus himself, experience sorrow, sadness, and grief. Members' health conditions can cause fatigue and grief. This does not mean that a church member is lazy or loves God any less because they do not have the energy to participate. The vulnerability causes us to isolate. No one should be ashamed that they feel anxious or depressed, especially in the church, or feel bad about talking about their mental health experiences with others. I have noticed that when I am open with people, even people that I don't know as well, I can create deep relationships and relate to people on a deep level that helps them feel more comfortable and reassured that what they are going through is normal. Overall, you may never know what a person is going through, and it is important to have conversations with other people and certainly not judge them. No matter who we are, we should never look down on someone for what they are going through. Most importantly, when you open up to people and share your testimony, it can do amazing things and even be life-changing. We would like to leave you with some practicals on how we can avoid negative stigmas in the church.
First, we need to educate members. For the church to overcome stereotypes, it's important to understand why those stereotypes are being held. When you can identify and examine wrongly held assumptions, the power of stereotypes is diminished. This frees you to identify and evaluate the reason behind the belief. Understanding where we detoured from God's word regarding the care and compassion for all of creation will help us realign our focus for the greatest commandment. The next step in education is to understand the truths around mental illness. Until we can willingly understand mental health, we cannot be a source of light to those affected.
Second, we need to encourage discussion. As a church, we must create an environment of authenticity and vulnerability. To truly understand one another, we must be honest about our struggles and be willing to hear others' struggles.
Third, we need to teach acceptance. Never forget that we're all in this together. We are called to be unified and to show one another how truly loved we are by God. Our stories are a gift that we can give to one another in encouragement. They bond us to one another as we walk through suffering and victories together. Hearing one another's stories, like really hearing, and being vulnerable enough to tell our own, will bond us together and move us towards unity that we are called to live in.
Finally, we need to get involved. The best way to overcome any stigma or negative stereotype is to do life with the people you hold negative beliefs about. Your new experiences will challenge your preconceptions. You'll see God in places and in people you never thought to look before.
Psalms 34, verses 18 through 19 reads, "The Lord is near to those who are discouraged. He saves those who have lost all hope. Good people suffer many troubles, but the Lord saves them from them all."
Luke 6:31 says, "And as you wish that others would do to you, do so to them."
Overall, we hope that you're able to take something away from this Waypoint moment. We know that this was a little bit more on the serious side, but we felt like it was important to discuss it.
But if you or anyone you know are struggling with mental health issues, you are not alone. Please don't hesitate to reach out. We would love to talk with you and get to know you. Love you all. Thank you for letting us share. Bye!
Bye.